So one of the things I'm gonna need personal assistant. I gotta have a personal assistant I can turn to and tell immediately and I have an idea. But one of the things I need my personal assistants to do is, since I'm putting out videos, basically as ads to say, please do this for me, call me. You have my phone number, it's right there. Every single description of a video that I have has actually a website. That website has my phone number, that has my email address. I mean, what better could it be to where you can actually call me up, you can talk to me, you can work with me. So incredible. And that might not be the case in the next 10 years. That might not be the case in the next 5 for that matter. I may be so important by then with your help and so many people's help. I can't just take anybody's phone call, but right now you got a chance to work with the man himself. You can be my personal assistant. And one of the things we have to sit down and have conversation about is, so I'm gonna be opening up a laptop today. I'd rather not be doing that. I'd rather be out there running. I'd rather be moving, jumping jacks, push-ups, all of these things, running, because you get up in the morning, first thing in the morning, you sleep with your shoes on. By the way, these shoes are great. I'm glad I got them. I'll never regret it because these are incredible shoes that breathe well. The ones I was wearing when I came up here on the plane, they smell horrible. They're just full of sweat, and it was unbelievable. Those were the only shoes I had. They were donated to the homeless over there in Honolulu. But I was wearing it, it was working, but they were a size too big, like size 13, and they held sweat like nothing else. And of course, you're pissing through your pants there and here. But so now we've got Brooks, and it's one of the ghost shoes, so they're light. You can move, you can run. I want to get out there and move. I want to burn my calories. I want to be losing 80 pounds. Once we lose 80 pounds, we're going to be back to the weight that we were when we were in 2022 when I came down here. And yes, so what happened in 2022? You were off the meds. You had been off your meds for a while and you lost 200 pounds. It's interesting. It's an interesting situation. Most of my weight loss, yes, it was a lot of exercise, but the other thing I did is I drank a lot of water, and that was something I was in the process of recovering from, because when you're drinking 5 gallons of water a day, it works when you are extremely overweight, but at the point where you now have no more weight to lose, then you're going to get a little bit anemic, then you're going to get what basically is water poisoning from it. So I was really adjusting to it. It's a bit of an adjustment. So when it's time to stop drinking all that water and just drink 1 gallon a day, or just drink a little less than that, you should be able to drink a gallon if you're doing the necessary strength training. But I had not even been introduced yet to strength training. I've not started, push-ups. I'd not started anything like that. I was just drank all that water, did all that exercise, and I lost 200 pounds. So why didn't you start having sex? Why didn't you think to yourself, go to Tijuana, go cross the border, take your passport, cross the border, and have sex with the women in Tijuana? Start having the sex that you need, because for the first time in your life, you didn't have a wedding date, it didn't pan out up there, and it's a story. It's something we're gonna write a book about, but it's a story, but it didn't pan out. Okay, fine, but you need to start having sex. So pre-bachelor's party, you're before you do get married to somebody, and she's gonna be a very beautiful girl from San Diego. You're gonna win. She's gonna be more beautiful than and go down to Mexico and start ejaculating in a condom. Why didn't you start to do that? And the truth is, there's no way to explain. I was sleeping right there at 12th and Imperial, and this is when they had, so in 2022 they actually had the Greyhound station there. The Greyhound station is no longer there, right across from the MTS building. So it was a time when there was a Greyhound station. I was sleeping there in a sleeping bag. And why didn't you go and sleep at Father Joe's Villages? Why didn't you get yourself comfortable? But I wanted to actually talk about, and I'm going to make the case for the thing that I need to work on with my personal assistant. We're going to make it about a lot of things, and that's the thing with these videos, is what happened in 2022. When I came to San Diego, and it's a long story, and Voices brought me here, and it was telling me that I was going to be hooked up with one woman in particular. And I'm going to do a video on her eventually. It's a very interesting thing, but long story short, I'm realizing, I did a few videos this morning, she puts me in a dream, and it's not a good thing. And this is a woman that I wasn't supposed to really think about, but journalism is stupid. It's a long story, and she was someone that was a rape accuser, and she, you never report the name of the rape accuser in any articles, but I did a, story on her. She happened to be from San Diego. So in 2022, and of course I've got family roots here, and we've had property here, etc. But why did I decide to come here? There was this dream that she was the love child of an insurance saleswoman, and my uncle, when he lived in El Cajon, when he was kind of living at Sycuan or whatever, why his son, I think, doesn't have much left over from the whole thing, except for There's a little bit left over. He would have had a lot more if he wasn't living in Sycuan when he was living in El Cajon. But that's what he did with the money, and that's what he liked. That's not what I would do with the money. But he was living in Sycuan, but he had this love child, and so to keep it in the family, I'd have to marry my cousin. I'm not supposed to know as my cousin, and this was her. And unfortunately, this whole thing, as I do more research into it, I say I don't believe anything I see in the news. This was a bogus case. This was all for me because they identified me as someone that was a quaaluder, because what choice would he have but to, with everything he does, sicken you and sicken you and sicken you. Everything I wrote, I would write beautiful things, but it's the kind of writing that's like, oh, they were starting to come out with Weinstein. They were starting to come out with, you know, Phil Spector. They were starting to come out with this is stuff where, and it's worse than drugs. It's worse than the stuff you know, take a chip off your lip, put it in, or drink it in the bar. This is the kind of stuff where if you can do this fast, if you can do this at a speed, and most people can't. You go into a casino, you go into a bar, you go into a nightclub, the environment and the stimuli makes it impossible to hypnotize. I can't. Now, can you develop the ability to do it? Yes, you can, but you have to be exposed to that. So it's a good thing, not a bad thing. Speaking about Loud by Drew Rothwell, that's really the truth of Loud. You want to be exposed to Loud and still be able to hone in on it, and verbally also, to be able to hone in on, but it can't be done for most people. I don't have that ability yet, but when I'm in a slower environment, when I'm in a place like San Diego where you don't have all of that hectic, even in Gaslamp Quarter, you know, it's just, for some reason it's quieter. I don't know. It may have to do with the real estate, the size of the blocks. The city blocks here aren't that big, but for whatever reason, things are quieter, and so you can hypnotize, and people are more open to it. It may just be that there's a lower IQ, and for whatever reason, people are more physically eugenic than they are mentally eugenic, or that they all use a slowed down, like, you know, Anchorman, Will Ferrell, that they are very fast in the head, but they use like an Anchorman template where they talk slowly in public, and then they can really ramp up and then screw your head up if you try to interact with them and then get you out of there quickly. But they're all putting on kind of front. I don't know, but people do tend to talk slower here, and so it feels to me a place where I could go back into that writer's dream that I was learning. But anyway, this woman, the color of her skin and the thought of her and the radiance, and it puts it for the past 3 or 4 days. It was this dream was starting to absorb me. Now, when I was drinking all that water and doing my weight loss, it was something where, especially when I wasn't doing cardio and it had to be done just by, so I underwent hypnotherapy. That dream is actually very, very instrumental in my having lost 200 pounds. But when you're doing it the other way, through actual exercise instead of just, because yeah, you can hypnotize your body into metabolism, etc. But when that dream then becomes counterproductive, because it turns out that was the reason why, of all things, I wasn't able to make moves on things I should have just had the courage to make moves on, and I was kind of reserved. I was again, it's called the social grandfather paradox. How many generations are you removed from reality? In reality, that's why you're watching the world pass you by and everybody else gets the prize, because you don't get your hands on people, you don't take the prize, you don't realize this is for you because you're in this dream. Some girl that looks really good when she dyes her hair blonde, and anyway, you know, when they go blonde, they're right there. And then all this whole story of the court case, boom, 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 and then Cayman McCracken, and then don't lose faith, and then don't lose, and then Serena Nasworthy, she might be the one you have to bury because I'm a total psychopath that has to say stuff to, you know, my personal assistant that's my special wife, because we have to do it cheaply, so she's my wife and my personal assistant, and I can say things like, you know, I have to turn to, even saying something, I have to turn to my personal assistant. That's the kind of rape language. I have to use rape language with the person I work with, and she's a psychologist that understands it, because I was born sickly and therefore am a psychopath, and it's a sad thing, and you have to protect society from it, but you feel bad for me, so she's going to marry me for the sake of society. So Serena Nasworthy